Hey ladies, are you feeling overwhelmed by hormonal changes? Well, you're definitely not alone. There are more than 1,000 hormone disruptors living in our environment right now. It's in your food, your water, the air you breathe, the clothes you wear, your skincare products. They all mess with your hormones. Then there's the natural hormone changes your body goes through, premenopause, menopause. And while it's a natural process, it doesn't mean you have to suffer through it. The good news is you don't have to suffer through it anymore because now you have Hormone Harmony, a formula made only with herbal ingredients that are shown to reduce hormonal symptoms in women of all ages. Hormone Harmony is not just a hormone supporting supplement, it's become a phenomenon. Women can't stop talking about it on social media. A bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds. And the biggest benefit? Well, my wife says it makes her feel like her own self again. And that's what women mention over and over in the reviews. And there are over 30,000 reviews for Hormone Harmony. And for a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use code RLRC at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC for 15% off today. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Real Life Real Crime Daily for Wednesday, March 8th. And I'm Jim Chapman.
I'm Woody Overton.
And I'm Mike Agovino. You guys, I know, both of you, follow the royal family with great interest on a daily basis.
My wife does.
Actually, I don't follow them because I'm just obsessed with them like everybody else. But like Woody, my wife pays attention to the royals, and I get stuck into following.
I'll tell you what,
watch The Crown? You guys watch The Crown?
No, fuck no.
I watched it with my wife. Yes.
I tell you how I follow them every day. I speak the Queen's English.
I've been
pretty awesome.
Now the King's English.
I've been secretly trying to get in closer touch with our female audience, and we have a significant female representation in the audience, and they insist on being heard.
And
so they
feed them.
They have asked for some royal news where crime is involved.
There you go.
They've asked for some things on the reality TV side, and we're going to give them a little bit of that, not in this episode, but coming. And so we hear you, ladies, and keep the cards and letters coming. And today we're gonna talk a little bit about the royal criminals. You guys know who the royal criminals are?
Yes.
Harry and Meagan.
Harry and Meagan. Most people would agree that those are the royal criminals.
I actually refer to her as the Duchess of Sussex.
Sussex.
I call it Sussex. I speak the Queen's English.
I speak
Okay, so what inspired me to want to do this story is that in the new season of South Park, second episode, the episode is just a complete trolling of the life of Harry and Meghan, and to try and draw suspicion away from them, I guess South Park decided that they would stage it as if they were the Prince and Princess of Canada, and yes, that threw everyone off of the mark, and people couldn't follow it. If you haven't watched this episode, you must watch. I think it's season 26, episode 2 of South Park. We're going to play a clip for you in here before we're done, but that was my inspiration for wanting to talk about the royal criminals. So the royal rift, as it's referred to, between Prince William and Prince Harry really kind of got going in 2018. And the reason it got going in 2018 is there was a new player in the mix. And this new player had been, some would refer to it as a yachty. You guys ever hear the term?
I'm not familiar with the term.
Yachty. Well, there are all kinds of women, very attractive young women, who go to some of the greatest spots on the French Riviera, Monaco, all along Mediterranean, and sort of make themselves available to go on cruises and accompany very wealthy people from across the planet. And so there was a point in time where, and there's some shows on, Bravo's got a couple of shows, that Below Deck is one of them, and they've got some spinoffs off of that show a little bit less glamorous side of cruising than the yachters necessarily get. These are the ultimate boats with billionaires, owners, and the beautiful people that cruise around the Mediterranean in them. And so she did a little bit of that, and she got a role in a show called Suits. Don't know if you guys have
familiar
seen
with that.
Suits.
Negative.
She was okay in Suits. Pretty girl, did well. Couple of seasons of that. I don't know, maybe it was more than a couple, but basically that's her background, and not sort of the background you would normally think of being the suitor for a prince, right? So,
but real quick to interrupt you on that, so I finally know someone from LA. She was married before to a guy named Trevor, who I was potentially in talks with, and having my own show for Real Life Real Crime. And I can't think of his last name because I'm bad with names, but he's also an actor and has production companies. But he was married to her, and they were on movie sets or acting sets at different locations when they got separated.
he was married to Meghan Markle?
Yes, before she married the prince.
Well, Woody, you can't bring this new information into
it just popped in my
session
head.
here.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
More breaking
that's
news.
need to know kind of information that could have.
She was married before.
I knew that. I just didn't know you knew the guy that she was married to.
I got him myself.
Okay, so anyway, where the royal rift sort of begins is William kind of questions Harry on the relationship, and basically says, "I think you might have a gold digger on your hands here." And I'm sure for centuries, probably, this kind of thing has come up within the royal family, and they've relied upon one another to sort of sift out when something like that might have been going on. But that started really in 2018, as I said, and in 2019, TLC did a documentary that was called Kate versus Meagan. And that documentary took everything to another level, and it alleged that the brothers were growing increasingly frustrated with each other because William was worried that Harry was rushing to the altar, rushing his romance with Meagan. And it continued to accelerate throughout 2019. Harry and Meagan announced that they would be stepping back from their royal duties so that they could focus on becoming, quote, financially independent. Okay, I thought they were pretty well off financially, but they wanted to step back from royal duties and become financially independent. And through deals with Netflix and Spotify and others, they've done very, very well over time in this financial independence. The probably next big public uproar was when they decided to do an interview with their Montecito, California neighbor by the name of Oprah Winfrey on CBS. And, Oprah's always looking for something big in one of those interviews. And Meagan gave it to her when she told her the story. And this is while Harry had walked away to do something. So it was her and Meagan alone. And Meagan, through this veiled sort of this allegation of racism within the royal family, that she had experienced it at the hands of the royals. She didn't give up names, but she referred to the questioning about Archie, their son's skin tone, being mentioned by certain members, again, unnamed members of the royal family.
Well, I'll say this right from the start, and that is, sounds to me like Prince William needed to mind his own business. And, it's one thing to go to your brother and say, hey, man, you know, she may be a gold digger, but it's another thing to push it and push it and push it. The guy's obviously in love. It's really none of your business to like try to break up our boyfriend, girlfriend thing we got going on and all this happiness and try to stop us from getting married. And, you know, some of that is just siblings sticking their nose where it don't belong. And I can see Prince Harry kind of sticking up and saying, hey, man, that's my girlfriend. You don't need to be talking about her like that. It's just my opinion. I'm stepping out.
Is this Jim playing devil's advocate, or is this Jim
I mean, I'm being serious. I mean, I think that forget that they're royals for a second. If that was you and your brother, and he came up to you and he's like saying your girlfriend's a gold digger, you totally in love with her. You don't think you're not going to look at that from like a mature standpoint and say, "Oh, you're just looking out for me." No, you're going to look at it and say you're jealous because I got love you don't have or whatever. And you're going to step away from that. You're going to push back. You're going to say you're just a jealous brother and maybe you think she's attractive and you're mad because she's not with you. Now, married or not.
Wow.
I mean, hey.
What don't I know about the Chapman family dynamic? I mean, there's
Don't be talking about my girlfriend.
The flip side could be that when he brought her into the exclusive club or whatever, they looked down their nose. Or maybe she could have helped push the separation from his family.
There's two sides to that. Yeah, she could have.
But I'm going to give a shout out to my boy Trevor because I just remember one of the things he produced is Snowfall. You ever see that?
Yeah.
Fucking great show. Yeah. And I bet he thinks she's a gold digger.
Hey, look, she might very well be.
He didn't have as much gold to dig after that.
But hey,
no offense, Trevor.
Hey, Trevor, I don't know how you feel about it. I just know that your girl told me that you were married to her before.
Let's face it right here, though. You're talking about the royal family. No matter what girl gets with them, unless they're from another royal family, they're going to be perceived as a gold digger.
And that's
how do you get around that?
What's the disease the royal families had way back in the day because they used to interbreed? Serious.
Did they really?
Like between France and England and all that, there's this specific disease they had because they crossbred the bloodlines. Y'all know about that?
I don't know what the disease is.
True. And because they wouldn't breed to anybody that was below their station. So the Germans and the French and all these royal families over Russians over however 100 years or however many periods they came. It's some.
See, this is why we need a young Jamie like Joe Rogan has, because we could say, young Jamie, pull that up for us. Tell us what the disease was, and young Jamie be typing at them keys. Which, incidentally, young Jamie, if you'd like to have all three of us on Joe Rogan's show, we'd love it. Absolutely.
Perhaps available.
Perhaps, yeah.
Perhaps William being the older brother.
Porphyria was caused by the inheritance of two recessive genes.
There you go.
What's it called again?
It's two of them. It's PORPHYRIA and HAEMOPHILIA. Caused by inbreeding of the royal families over hundreds of years.
Okay.
Said now that she didn't.
Some people have a dictionary. We have Woody Overton.
She didn't have that gene, so they were looking down at her.
Folks,
ass.
Sometimes you have no idea where a segment's going to go. This one went off the rails pretty damn quickly. But
definitely never know what I'm going to say.
It went off the rails really quickly. But my first one, Jim coming at it.
Technically, that's a crime
with the jealous older brother thing. Have you watched the way that she has handled Harry since they won? I mean,
he loves her.
She wears the pants, I think.
He might as well have a collar and a leash.
Fours,
okay? Yeah. I mean, it's
BDSM.
It's pretty ridiculous how he has been led around. And look, there have been enough surveys. I mean, these people are on tabloid covers every day. They're in the tabloids every day.
And we're talking about on Real Life for Crime Daily.
And this is a crime commentary show. And so I'm approaching this believing it's a crime, what she has done. to him and what has happened to the royal family, and Jim is challenging it out of the. Look, it's at.
I'm not challenging it.
At a minimum, it is the height of hypocrisy. They're doing all of these things that line their pockets and lots of things to be. He writes a book called Spare, rhyming with air, but it's spare, and it's airing all of this dirty laundry inside of what for centuries has been sacred, right?
Right.
So
You see,
and do you think he would have that any of that would have happened were it not for her?
No,
Did you see-
but my point to all that was, regardless of all that, he is his own person, and so if he wants to be with this girl, who cares?
But guess what? Evidently, the king cares because they evicted him. You ever hear that yesterday? Came
Yes.
out. They evicted him, but it was going to be like at the end of the month. But now they're waiting until after
At a
coronation.
Frogmore cottage.
Till after the coronation. How about that? They
got
don't
you.
get out then.
That would be-
They don't get out. That'd be
Harry.
another crime if they don't get out.
That would be a reaction to Spare, and the bit of satire from South Park would be a great example of what sort of the public consciousness about the couple is, which is that she has taken over him. She has really pulled him away from the royal family. They have sought public exposure in every way you possibly can, and then they have cried for privacy when negative articles have been written or people have come out against them on social media. And so I think it's the height of hypocrisy. That's the crime. It's the crime against the royal family, and nobody could say it better than South Park did. So I want to see the clip and get out of the share the clip and get out of the
We will.
Before you
Give us
say
1
the clip,
second.
I'm waiting on the Pam and Tommy sex tape of them two that's going to get
my
dropped
God.
because they want their privacy. They were going to accidentally let their worker find their sex tape.
Oops.
And the whole world's going to get it.
Okay, let me just say this.
think
That would be a crime we could
I
report
think
on.
they'd have to be in much rougher financial shape for that to happen before that happens, and
Let me just-
they're not in rough financial shape.
Let me just say this, and ladies, I'm talking to you. This is what I want y'all to do.
Very white voice.
I'm going to do another poll. And in that poll, I want you to comment either Team Harry or Team Royals.
God.
And I want all of you out there that I know are for Team Harry to comment so we can show Mike.
It's Team Meagan. It's Team Meagan.
No, we're okay.
it's Team
Meagan. It is Team Meagan or Team Royals. Comment. You're going to see a poll up. If you're hearing this, it's already up. So please do that.
I'm going to give a shout out to my boy Harry for being in the military.
Shout out.
He was.
Freaking right, he was. Flew over Iraq, I think.
Right.
Anyway, we have a clip that we're going to play right now. And actually, this is funny no matter whose team you're on. We're going to play the South Park clip. And so here's that.
We want privacy! We want privacy! You've lived a life with the royal family, you've had everything handed to you, but you say your life has been hard, and now you've written all about it in your new book, Where? We just want to be normal people. All this attention is so hard. Isn't it true, sir, that your questionable wife has her own TV show and hangs out with celebrities and does fashion magazines? What are you suggesting? Well, I just think some people might say that your Instagram-loving bitch wife actually doesn't want her privacy. How dare you, sir? My Instagram-loving bitch wife has always wanted her privacy!
Here's all I got to say. I rest my case.
Yeah. Well, that story should rest in peace. But I actually want to hear the results or see the results, and it's probably going to shut down whatever social media platform that we do it on because they garner that much interest.
Get us
now,
kicked
we're
off.
going to move on to this story. We're starting a segment, if you will, of Real Life, Real Crime Daily that we're going to bring to you from time to time as stupidest motherfucking criminals in the world. And this guy We hadn't talked about doing this one as the first one, but I was just reading this, and he has to be that dumb. Okay, so this man in New Jersey, y'all, he goes to the airport, checking his luggage and shit. Everything's status quo, and then he goes to TSA, and he's got a little more luggage, and TSA actually did their job for once, and they were like, holy shit. So let me tell you what happened. The New Jersey man faces multiple federal criminal charges after he allegedly, I'll take that out, after he attempted to board an airplane with firearms, ammunition, a bulletproof vest, and fraudulent law enforcement credentials. They found 2 semi-automatic rifles were among the weapons found inside the man's checked baggage at New York Liberty International Airport. Saratis Clouden, identified as a 42-year-old originally from Bergen County, is accused of carrying 3 firearms in his checked luggage when he entered the airport on December 30th for a scheduled flight to Florida. And the TSA agents initially discovered 2 .40 caliber Glock magazines, each of which contained 15 rounds of ammunition, and a ballistic vest carrier in Clouden's luggage during a routine screening before the flight's departure. The words Deputy Marshal were displayed on the vest carrier, the Justice Department said. Now, let me clarify this for y'all. So this is how this investigation started. Now, I told you about all the travel I used to do as a defense expert. One time I accidentally leave a magazine in my carry-on luggage, not the pistol, just a loaded magazine, and they found that shit, and I got in serious trouble, but I had checked the pistol. This guy is not only trying to get through TSA screening with 2 loaded .40 caliber Glock magazines, but he also had a ballistic vest with Deputy Marshal on it, okay? So then TSA is gets a hard on, and they're like, oh shit, what's he actually have in his checked luggage? So they go to check it, and they found a bevy of additional weapons, including some typically used and associated with American police officers, along with a .40 caliber Glock 22 handgun. Agents discovered a .308 caliber DPMS Panther Arms rifle, which I have one of those, and a 5.56 caliber AR-15 rifle, which meets the definition of a machine gun under the National Firearms Act, as well as an expandable baton, we call them an ASP, a spring-loaded knife, and a taser. And that's the way it doesn't end there. And also in his luggage, they found forged identification documents like United States Marshal, credentials bearing Clouden's name and a photograph, and a United States Marshal badge. The United States Marshal Service, they gave him a call, and they were like, never heard of this cat, right? So basically, the TSA says it's absolutely not acceptable. This is Captain Obvious from TSA. It's absolutely not acceptable for firearms to be anywhere near checkpoints. There is a legally permissible way to bring firearms in checked baggage, but you have to be legally able to carry a firearm. Y'all, the problem with this was this asshole's a convicted felon. He's not even supposed to have a possession of a firearm. So I'm going to put him up there as one of the dumbest criminals in the world. TSA.
Well, and also maybe an example of why changing gun laws will do absolutely nothing for anyone. What didn't this guy have?
You change outlaw guns, and only outlaws will have guns, right? I mean, this dude had everything. And, I certainly bring firearms or long rifles, shotguns, whatever, when I travel to hunt stuff, but you have to fill out a fucking form. You put it in your luggage, and you're good to go. This guy, if he'd have done that and just left, why you have 2 magazines? The time I did it was an accident, but you have 2 magazines, and okay, maybe you can forget 2 magazines because you're unloading your shit and you're putting your pistol in and you're checking your pistol. But why would you try to get a bulletproof vest through your checked-in luggage.
And actually, I didn't realize that was even illegal to have a bulletproof vest on.
What was this guy planning? I mean, that's like he's got more stuff than Schwarzenegger had in Commando. I mean,
right.
What's
what's the one with the robot dude? Yeah, but yeah, he had a shit ton of stuff plus fake credentials.
Did you mean Terminator?
Plus, yeah, that's what I meant. Plus,
What did he say?
What's the one with the robot dude? Oh my God!
I could just see the
motion that he was making was the fire part.
But I mean, come on, man. He's got
dumb criminal,
and he's truly a criminal. But even he was a criminal before this criminal complaint. He was a convicted felon and couldn't even own a firearm.
And you're going to try to go through a checkpoint, which is, I mean, this guy wasn't just driving down the road with him in his glove box. He was trying to get on a plane.
Yes.
Well, this guy needs to be put away for a long time.
Right.
What can they put him away for?
He's going to federal prison. The one thing about federal law versus state law, there's no leeway in sentences. There's no plea bargain. They whatever it is, the strict sentencing guidelines, he's going to get them.
So that's like interstate trafficking.
It's
a felon
for each
for
firearm. It's Project Exile. It's 5 years for each firearm by a convicted felon. Each firearm, right? That's 4 or 5. Then trying to introduce them into, all the federal laws they have about airports, which I'm not privy to all of them, but in a convicted felon in possession of a machine gun.
Oh yeah,
I don't even own a machine gun.
I would really like to know how he spleened things.
Yeah, he's spleened it up.
Because I mean, it sure
detention.
sounds like he was going to do something awfully bad somewhere.
He
was going to Florida?
I think he had bad intentions. Yeah. No, well, let's see. I think
it was at Newark Airport and he was headed to Florida, right?
He's headed to Florida. Maybe he's going to Disney World. Spread a little lead love. I don't know. We can only speculate, and he is certainly a dumb criminal.
I agree with that. So moving on.
You never know what you're going to get. We got the roles.
right.
We got dumb criminals.
We're about to have a real feel-good story for you. We like to bring you positive stuff from time to time.
I'm all about positive. As you think, so shall you.
Yeah, so we're going to tell you about a South Carolina kidnapping survivor. So we're going to tell you about a South Carolina kidnapping survivor. Now, this all relates back to a serial killer. Okay, so a serial killer by the name of Richard Evonitz abducted 15-year-old Kara Robinson in 2002, forced her into his vehicle, and restrained her inside his South Carolina home. The abduction actually became the biggest mistake of his criminal career when Robinson escaped and eventually sent police down his path. The 39-year-old killed himself following a police chase in Florida that same year. So, Kara Robinson basically goes on to say, my body just automatically kicked into survival. He put a gun to the side of my neck, and that basically looked like all my interior dialogue stopped. It just became survival to me. So my survival mechanism was a little bit freeze, a little bit fight, but mostly the appease response, which is known as fawn for those of you out there, which is kind of to co-regulate this person's nervous systems. In other words, Robinson followed Evontz's orders in order to survive. I essentially realized that I had to remain calm to gather information that would allow him to trust me, become complacent, and eventually allow myself to be able to escape. And that's a real thing when you're in a life or death situation. We've talked about the 4 F's many times: fight, freeze, fawn, or flight. And she obviously chose the fawn aspect of that, which was very smart because she eventually escaped. Now, Evonitz, who is originally from Virginia, murdered Sophia Silva, Kristen Lisk, and Katie Lisk from 1996 and 1997 in Spotsville County, prior to Robinson's capture and escape. This guy lived in states all over the country over the course of like 6 years, including South Carolina, where he abducted Robinson as she was helping a friend tend to flowers in her front yard. He basically pulled up to the front yard and forced her into his car at gunpoint. Ivanitz locked Robinson in his home, and he repeatedly sexually assaulted her, according to the FBI. The 15-year-old went along with pretty much everything he wanted to do, and that was her fawn stage, where she was in an effort to survive and felt like going along with him would allow her to do that. Now, as time elapsed, Robinson also memorized details about her captor's apartment. Very, very smart young lady here. There were little animals she remembered. She even remembered how many and what kind of animals they were. She knew the layout. She could describe being inside the apartment. Obviously, whenever she was sleeping in his kitchen, she got close to a refrigerator and found his dentist and doctor's information on magnets. So she memorized them.
Super smart.
Super smart. She even memorized.
She didn't at this point know she's going to live. She's just doing it in case she lived. Right?
That's freaking awesome, man. And at 15 years old, she even memorized the serial number that was on the inside of the container in Ivanitz's vehicle. How about that? I can't, there's no way I can memorize my VIN number right now, but she also recalled seeing long red hair of a woman in a hairbrush inside his apartment and feminine hygiene products, as well as 2 toothpaste, indicating there was probably more than one person living there. How smart is this girl, y'all? During the night when he was sleeping, she was...
Hey, y'all, let me tell you about Gobble. All Gobble meal kits are pre-prepped. That means less work for you and less waste in your kitchen. Their meal kits include everything you need so you can save time at the store or just skip that trip entirely. I got the box in and I had 3 different meals. I had a Kung Pao chicken, crispy fish tacos, and a beef bourguignon, however you say it. But let me tell you about the classic beef bourguignon. Look, it came with beef pot roast and a beef broth concentrate, red wine demi-glaze, cremini mushrooms, cipollone onions, mashed potatoes, baby carrots, and rosemary thyme butter. It was so easy to make. Literally like 15 minutes it took Cindy. And let me tell you something, all the dishes were fire, but this thing was like a taste explosion in my mouth. It's just unreal. We've got to spend more time together and more time doing the things we love because everything came in this one single box right to my door. So see what a difference Gobble will make for your household. Right now, they're offering my listeners a fantastic limited time deal. You get $120 off across 4 boxes plus free shipping and free cookies. And let me tell you, those cookies, I ate one that was sin baked and it was delicious. Go to gobble.com/real life. That's GOBBLE.com/real life for $120 off your first 4 boxes. This offer is not available on the home site, so don't miss out. This is genius. It's taste explosions in your mouth like you never had. Spark something uncommon this holiday with just the right gift from Uncommon Goods. The busy holiday season is here, and Uncommon Goods makes it less stressful with incredible hand-picked gifts for everyone on your list, all in one spot. Gifts that spark joy, wonder, delight, and that's exactly what I wanted feeling. Hey, y'all, I ordered a super cool piece. It's a candle with a sculpture of LSU's Tiger Stadium on top of it. And each officially licensed laser-cut wooden replica features up to 4 layers of detail, creating a bird's eye view of a specific football field, seating section, and more. And every label includes your stadium's name, the team's logo, and school location. And it has a coconut, soy, vegan wax infused with sandalwood smell that creates tailgates and touchdown scent profile, reminiscent of game day. It's invigorating like fresh cut grass and nostalgic like smoke from a pre-game grill, and calming like the crisp autumn air of a new semester on campus. Y'all, I love it. I have it at the base of my TV and I'm ready to watch the Tigers play on Saturday night, right? Uncommon Goods. Look, when you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. And many of their handcrafted products are made in small batches. So shop now before they sell out this holiday season. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. They have the most meaningful, out of the ordinary gifts anywhere. They even have gifts you can personalize. From holiday hosts and hostess gifts to the coolest finds for kids, to hits for everyone from the book lovers to diehard sports fans. Uncommon Goods has something for everyone, not the same old selections you can just find anywhere. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3 million to date. So to get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/RLRC. That's uncommongoods.com/RLRC for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary.
Able to escape the restraints he was keeping her in and flee his apartment. She contacted the law enforcement, told them everything that she had memorized about Ivanitz and his apartment, which ultimately helped them track down the serial killer. Ivanitz had an explosive temper, was fascinated with guns, and both used and sold marijuana, according to the FBI. He would conduct surveillance of his victims prior to abducting them, all of who were under the age of 18, and had a preoccupation with drowning victims, being forced to wash and or shave pubic hair, binding of victim hands and feet, use of sex toys and pornography, both adult and child, use of plastic tub and metal containers to dispose of the victims. He would wrap them in blankets, bound them with rope, and even they've had victims being found near bodies of water, the FBI said, that were victims of his. So this guy was as gross and disgusting as you can possibly get. Now, Robinson joined law enforcement after developing a close relationship with a sheriff who had handled her case, and is now an advocate for other victims of crime. As a married mother of 2 sons, she continues to help victims of crime and host her own podcast, Survivor's Guide to True Crime. In one episode, she discussed the appeased response that helped her survive 20 years ago with expert guests who explained the survival method that came naturally, the fawn method in her case. And just amazing that it did. Robinson said the best piece of advice she can give victims or potential victims of crime is to respond in a way that makes you feel confident and strong. Talk to yourself in a positive manner, like, I'm strong, I can get through something because I'm lucky, I'm grateful, good things are going to happen to me. Robinson had a list of other options on her website to help victims of crime. So y'all, if that's not a positive, talk about putting a positive on an ultimate negative situation.
How many victims did that guy have?
Three confirmed that he was convicted of. I'm sure, as Woody would tell you there's probably many more they'll never know. But 3 in one particular case, it was sisters.
Yeah.
Well, keeping along the theme of uplifting.
Amazing young lady.
Yeah. To have the wherewithal to memorize.
All the shit that the cases that I've worked, I'm just sitting here and blown away by the facts that she did that. To memorize the dentist and Dr. Magnus and shit.
Notice someone has red hair because of the brush.
Reminds me of the James Patterson, Alex Cross books, the
Along Come a Spider.
Kiss the Girls was the movie where Ashley Judd played the girl who was, she was abducted, and he had a bunch of women, and she escaped from these underground tunnels and was able to help them solve the whole thing. Great old movie. Great old book, too. Kiss the Girl. All of his older stuff was great. Keeping along the lines of uplifting stories, we've talked a lot recently about the New Orleans mayor, LaToya Cantrell, and some of the challenges she's facing with a recall. I mentioned last week when we were talking about LaToya, the mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot, having a primary election that actually took place on Tuesday night of this week. And just to refresh you or maybe give you some info on Lori Lightfoot for the first time, she's sort of the ultimate intersectional candidate. Female, black, gay, ticks off every single one of those things in a city that has had a very, 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 very long line of Democratic mayors. She was the latest. She was a major lockdown mayor, and in the wake of the pandemic, the statistics for the city of Chicago and crime became some of the worst for a major city in the United States. The murder rate in Chicago is 5 times the murder rate in New York City. It's 2.5 times the murder rate in Los Angeles.
Last time I was there, I left on a Friday. They killed 27 people that weekend.
It's
27.
It's horrible. I used to go to Chicago a lot for business. North Michigan Avenue, the whole shopping scene there, the premium retail scene along North Michigan Avenue is fabulous. 40% of those businesses are unoccupied. People forced to get out because they were looted so badly on it. So it destroyed tourism. They were getting looted. People couldn't make money. They had to get out of there. And this mayor would sing and dance her way around these things and blame everybody else. Lightfoot becomes the first Chicago mayor not reelected to a second term in 40 years. And not only was she not, and this was an election to get into the runoff to see who's going to be the Democratic candidate in the next mayoral election. And so she didn't even make the runoff. So
I don't think she made the top 4.
Actually, I think she was third. She got 17% of the vote. But I mean, for the incumbent candidate to get 17% of the vote, there's a guy. These are all Democrats. Obviously, it's a Democratic primary. But a guy named Paul Vallis, who has a much more pro-police approach, got almost 34% of the vote. A progressive liberal, arguably more liberal than Lori Lightfoot, named Brandon Johnson, got 20% of the vote. So it will be in April a runoff between Paul Vallis and Brandon Johnson to see who will be the next Democratic candidate and, in all likelihood, the next mayor of Chicago. But I would point to this as a very good sign that people are sort of coming back to their senses about policing and crime, law enforcement, and the soft on crime DAs and the whole defund the police movement, and especially in these major cities. And again, this is a Democratic stronghold where a progressive has been voted out after just one term. So there is hope for
Bye, Lightfoot. I brought my wife and youngest son. We spent 4 nights there last spring, and I never went past Billy Goat Tavern to Billy Goat Tavern.
Got to get a cheeseburger at the Billy Goat.
Cheeseburger. But I knew I was smart enough to keep them in a couple block area because it's fucking Chicago is horrible. It's like New Orleans and Baton Rouge.
I've got a real quick great story on that. The interesting story anyway, in that I actually had a week I spent in Chicago training Rust-Oleum, which is the largest paint company in the world, part of a conglomerate called RPM. Their headquarters is in Chicago, and I had to train on some Rust-Oleum products, floor coatings, and went to this training. So I rented a car, and I had never been to Chicago. So one night I'm like, I'm going to drive just around. I actually wanted to go see the Great Lakes aspect because when you're flying in, you can get a real good shot, and it's real pretty, y'all. It almost looked like a fake color, almost food coloring in the water. It was so pretty and blue. So get into Chicago, rent the car, get to my hotel, and I decide I'm going to drive around. I don't know how I ended up in this spot, but all of a sudden, I'm kind of in the outskirts maybe of Chicago, and I am seeing nothing but $20 million houses everywhere I looked. I'm talking mansions, and I'm thinking, this ain't nothing like what I thought it would be, because I know the reputation. Chicago's for years has had the reputation as murder capital of the country. And so I was, I wasn't stupid enough to go try to catch a Cubs game or a White Sox game.
I called the game the year they won it. Yeah.
Wrigleyville, Cubs neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's okay. We'll see. I had no idea.
I took the train from downtown to get out there.
I had no idea, but wherever I was, that outskirts must have been a very wealthy
there are a
side
lot of
Chicago.
Sounds like maybe Lake, or you're on the north.
Yeah.
North Shore, I think they call it. So Lake Forest.
That was it.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
The first time
Lake Forest.
I went to Chicago, I was blown away by how well thought out the city planning was. I'd never seen so much green in the city. And my grandmother actually worked at the Palmer House Hilton during World War II before she came to Louisiana and became a lawyer. Yeah.
It was when there was a time period where I was traveling every week and all of it within the U.S. And so I was going to Chicago 4 times a year at least. Yeah. And it was one of my favorite places to go as long as you as long as you went between April and October. There's
I went
November.
there one time when it was cold, and it was cold AF.
Coldest moment of my life, standing on the Michigan Avenue Bridge, getting a straight shot off the lake.
Sydney and them, and it must have been middle of May, and shit, it was cold. I mean, cold for us from South Louisiana. I mean, in the 40s at night. I'm like, holy shit! And it's in the 70s in Louisiana in May at night, or 75.
And the wind coming off that lake, it can get brutal.
Good story. Yeah. Bye, Mayor. Get some new police.
All right. Our next story, we're going to talk about, very tragic situation that occurred in St. Louis, Missouri. A teen lost both her legs in an accident caused by a repeat offender that, obviously shouldn't have been on the street to even cause this. And this was a volleyball player from Tennessee. She was a teenager. She basically got hit by a speeding driver, got in a car accident, and that speeding driver is facing felony charges. But the rift that is being caused by this, outside of the obvious, is that this particular suspect who caused the wreck had multiple charges in his record. He was a robbery suspect at this particular time, and Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey, a Republican, pinned the blame on Gardner for failing to keep Riley behind bars. Kim Gardner is a St. Louis Circuit attorney. She is a Democrat, and said her office tried 3 times to revoke the bond of the 21-year-old who is Daniel Riley. And yet still he was able to cause this accident after all these priors. Now, the Missouri Attorney General filed court documents Thursday seeking Gardner's oust on 3 grounds. 1 was failure to prosecute existing cases. 2 was failure to file charges in cases brought by the police. And the 3rd was a failure to confer with and inform victims and their families about the status of cases. He is seeing this as an issue of just complete incompetence and kind of falling asleep at the wheel for this St. Louis Circuit attorney. Now, he was quoted as saying, "This is about the rule of law and about justice. Instead of protecting victims, which is her obligation, she's creating more victims by being negligent." Gardner vowed to remain in her job, accusing the Attorney General of political posture and to stop the voice of the people in the city of St. Louis. Missouri Republicans, who want the state to take over prosecutions of violent crimes in St. Louis, sharply criticized the city's embattled prosecutor on Monday after the teenage volleyball player from Tennessee lost both of her legs in the crash. Now, St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner is facing calls to resign from critics who blame her for failing to keep Daniel Riley, he was 21 incidentally, behind bars before the February 18th crash that injured the 17-year-old, whose name is Janae Edmondson. The entire situation could have and should have been avoided if not for the ineffectiveness of that office, the St. Louis Police Officers Association business manager Joe Steiger stated during a Senate hearing for legislation that would give the governor the power to appoint a special prosecutor to take on violent crimes in counties with the homicide rate over a certain threshold. I found that very interesting. Janae Edmondson isn't the only or first victim who's been affected by Miss Gardner's failures as a circuit attorney, but hopefully she will be the last. Now, a Republican bill sponsor by Representative Lane Roberts said in his legislation currently would only apply to Gardner. But he said Jackson County, home to parts of Kansas City, is dangerously close to reaching this applicable threshold. Under legislation that is already passed in the House, a special prosecutor would serve for up to 5 years.
Wow. How many times are we, reading stories from cities with these soft on crime DAs or states with soft on crime AGs, et cetera, where somebody who has no business being out in the public is committing a senseless crime and, ruining a life or killing someone. It's like every time we're in here, we're doing this. This is a girl who's traveling with her family to play in a volleyball tournament. Those are happy times. All you're doing is walking across the street with your – and, the father is he's a hero. Were it not for his experience and his skills, because he quickly was able to get her blood loss under control enough to where EMS could get to her in time to save her. But in most situations like that, she'd have bled out.
No doubt about it.
And died. So he's a hero. She'll thankfully be able to live out the rest of her life. Unfortunately, especially an athlete who's playing volleyball, she's not going to be able to live the kind of life she thought she was going to be able to live. And that city's that city's going to have some checks to write.
100%. And you're right, Mike. It seems to be a pattern where these situations are taking place in not only states, but also local municipalities where they have a soft on crime stance. And so I'm glad to see that in this particular case, they're trying to get some legislation passed where if this is an obvious problem, someone else can take over to fix it.
Me too.
Well, and I think the pendulum is starting to swing back in the other direction. Take the Lori Lightfoot being voted out as a great early example of that.
I'm going to take you back to St. Louis, Missouri again, where on Monday night a man was arrested for a video that captured him executing a guy in broad daylight. So police responded to a call for a shooting just after 10 a.m. on Monday, and when they arrived, they found the victim lying on the sidewalk suffering from a wound to the head. They started looking into it, y'all, and they found the victim and a male suspect had been engaged in a fight at a nearby Shell gas station just before the shooting. So to sum it up for you, some minutes later, they found the suspect, Deshaun Thomas, and arrested him when he was going into the library. But after he was taken into custody, this video surfaces, y'all, and he was then charged with first-degree murder, and I'm going to tell you why. First-degree murder and armed criminal action. The video surfaced on social media, and It's a minute and a half long, and it shows a guy laying down on the cement, and the person says on the video, call the police because this man standing over and he's got a gun. And the person with the gun, suspected to be Thomas, continued to stand over the man sitting on the curb, who appeared not to pay attention to what was happening around him. But the suspect shooter calmly stands over the victim while he loads the gun. Moment later, he points the gun at the head of the man sitting on the curb, and you hear a gunshot. The video quickly turns away from the scene, and you can hear a man say, "Oh my God, he just fucking killed him."
Yeah, that video's gone viral,
Right.
and
They took
this
it
story
down.
is getting a lot of play in the last 24 hours. It's a brutal example of what we just talked about with St. Louis.
Exactly what I was going to say.
These guys get in a fight.
And you know, the other thing, Mike, is people just don't respect life anymore. I mean, you can blame it on whatever you want to, and certainly these soft cities and all that shit. But how are you going to execute somebody? You're going to stand over them and load the weapon and execute them, shoot them in the head in broad daylight, 10 o'clock in the morning.
I think it's a respect to the law too.
Yeah.
It's they don't, you know, they just don't give a shit.
But a lot of these people committing these crimes in different times would have already been away, locked up. And so what we're seeing is the cost to the general public of the posture that is being taken in so many of these cities, where people who should be incarcerated are out on the street and capable of doing something like that.
I agree. And, you know, certainly, I don't know if he'll get the death penalty or whatever. I don't even know if they have it. And I guess it's Missouri, so I think they do have it. But anyway, just an animal. No respect for life. You get in a fist fight with somebody, so what happened back in our day was you got in a fist fight, and a lot of times you ended up being friends afterwards, right? But I didn't go get a pistol and stand over you and shoot you in the head at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
In broad daylight over a fist fight. So you know what, y'all? I'm gonna end this on a lighter note. You ever heard of the Magic ice cream truck? You like ice cream, Mike?
I'm a big fan.
Or ice cream or gelato?
No, ice cream.
All right.
They're the same.
I scream, you scream, we all scream for
What's your
ice cream.
favorite flavor?
I'm a big chocolate chip cookie dough guy.
Yeah, I like it. What's yours?
Chocolate.
Really?
Yeah.
You know,
I
I
like
was
chocolate.
actually going to say like the double Dutch chocolate.
Yeah,
I
that's
like
good.
chocolate. If I made ice cream.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, all right. So Bluebell is the best brand, by the way. So
Eat all you can.
nationally sold.
Share the rest.
Don't take the Bluebell out of the thing and lick it, y'all, and put it and stick it back in the case and put yourself on social media, because that will get your ass arrested, and it's stupid. Or eat Tide Pods. But back to the Magic ice cream truck in Slidell, Louisiana, which is about an hour 15 minutes from where we're at. The owner of an ice cream truck was arrested and accused of selling meth from the truck, according to my good friends in the Slidell Police Department. Police say narcotics detectives saw a blue ice cream truck, and we got to put this truck on our social media.
Yeah.
Police, blue ice cream truck with an expired license plate and no brake lights just after 11:30 a.m. on February 27th on Old Spanish Trail in Slidell. Now, if you don't know about Old Spanish Trail, it's a very, I was talking about Chicago earlier, very well thought out, like bicycle, the exercise path that runs a long way. It's a really nice spot. So this asshole is down there in his truck, and detectives say a previous information led them to believe the owner was using and selling meth from the truck, which has been out of commission for several months. Police pulled over the truck and found melted ice cream in the freezer, meth, and other drug paraphernalia. Tammy's Ice Cream and Sweet Treats truck was impounded. Morin, I guess this asshole who did it, they said it earlier. Morin was transported to the Slidell City Jail. Detectives say they also found 2 small puppies inside the truck, which were turned over to Slidell Animal Control. I mean, come on, man.
I wonder what the outside of the truck, you know how they would put the ice cream and then they put a little price right there? I wonder if they
had any music.
They had the meth prices. I don't think
like a prescription bottle.
It's actually a bus.
It's a little bus. It's like the little short bus. It is.
Yeah, we're not poking. Well,
no, I mean it's a short bus. I don't mean anything bad about that, but it's been converted. It's painted a sky blue.
We're going to put a picture of it on social media.
Let me talk about this real quick.
That's her cuffed over there, I think.
I guess I'm smarter than a lot of criminals because if I got into a pursuit on the interstate one time with a Corvette running 98 miles an hour. And then we got in pursuit. He starts throwing kilos of cocaine out the window. All right. Let me tell you something. If I'm hauling kilos of cocaine or if I'm selling meth out of my ice cream truck, you better believe all my probable cause shit will be fixed. You're not going to get me for speeding if I'm hauling 50 kilos of cocaine. You're not going to get me for no tail lights and no brake lights and expired everything on my ice cream meth truck. I'm smarter than that. You have to find another probable cause. I mean, that's what they got him for.
Yeah, obviously not the world's sharpest drug dealer.
Ice cream.
Yeah, I mean,
Tammy's ice cream and sweet treats. I wonder if he sold pipes out there too. You know, you get those pipes.
Does that say?
Yeah.
Did it say have meth prices right there?
Hey, look at the picture.
There's the meth.
Well, you can get.
What varieties?
You
can
know,
you get
here's the varieties: red phosphorus, which is one type. Ice, which is super meth, and it's a little more expensive. And then you can get like your regular ephedrine meth and hydrous ammonia meth, whatever. He should sell like camp fuel and lithium batteries and all the shit that it takes to make meth.
She does have a sign that says "will not serve you if you're under 16." So at least she was not selling the meth to kids under 16.
Back in the day when we first started doing meth bus in Livingston Parish, they had a guy that came in from out of state in the Midwest somewhere, and he was charging people $1,000 a cook. That's before they outlawed ephedrine. I mean, you go in and buy all the boxes you wanted to. So he would come in from out of town, and we arrested him for this. And he had charged them $1,000. They had to bring all the ingredients. He got to keep $1,000 and half the meth that he produced. But then he taught them how to cook, and it spread like a fucking plague all the way, evidently, to Spanish Trail in Slidell, Louisiana.
You know, they were asking him, "Where's the real menu?" When they walked up to the bus. Give me the real menu.
Like, you know what though? When the first meth school I ever went to, they said 2 things you will always find with a meth cook. So this guy must not have been a cook. And you want to guess what they are?
What?
Porn and firearms.
Really?
Meth is a big sex drug. It's all about sex. Okay,
Just ask our girl.
It's just your business. And then firearms because of the paranoia. So this person must not have been an actual cook because cooks stay up for so long and do whatever. But I went back and applied that to all the meth cooks I'd already arrested. Absolutely, porn and firearms.
There you go.
Maybe. I ain't say that my boys in Slidell PD. I was maybe somebody lifted the porn and the firearms for the personal use.
Could be. See, you get it all on Real Life, Real Crime Daily, folks.
I need to issue an official apology to this audience.
No, you don't.
For
the last hour, which has been a ridiculous attempt on my part to keep this show on the rails while you 2 idiots are watching the closing arguments of the defense and now the rebuttal.
My Shiner beer stack up.
Murdaugh Mania is happening behind my head, and I haven't been able to see it.
And hey, but Mike, in all fairness, I offered you my seat, and I said we could put on a closed caption.
That's your seat.
You could watch it.
That's your seat.
But so y'all when you hear from us next, I say,
Don't
do
say
not-
that.
wait,
Don't say
yeah,
that.
Do not
We don't know when
give
it's
a
playing.
1, 2, or 3 star rating off of this episode.
Yeah,
this
yeah.
episode is disqualified from that.
no, it's not.
What?
You know,
We-
no,
why
you
are we
probably get our
because
best-
you guys,
that.
because you
It's
guys,
a good episode.
you guys tried to beat up my Royal Criminals segment, and
They just interjected.
Jim tried to bias a survey, which I know will be a biased result when it comes back in. So that started it off wrong.
You're just mad. 'cause
And you wouldn't let me do my China segment, which I'm doing
Right.
next week.
Next week.
Next week. You get it first. We'll let you lead with it.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get out of here, go to the Facebook page,
Right,
like it,
right,
share
right,
it,
right.
comment on it.
Right.
We're going to be talking about not only the stuff today, like the bus, we'll put pictures up of that, but everything we talk about, we're going to try to put some fun stuff up there on the Facebook. So until next time.
We do still have big news coming.
Yes, we do. We have
Soon.
big news coming, and we're going to learn y'all some stuff about it.
There you go.
All right.
Until next time, I'm Jim Chapman.
I'm Woody Overton.
I'm Mike Agovino.
For Real Life, Real Crime Daily, peace.
Show business.
Business.